So the usual place where you start teaching Unix is StdIn, StdOut, and StdError. We don't have those concepts, and before you get judgmental, this is supposed to be a souped-up modern Commodore 64. So what could possibly be good about a Commodore 64? Let's see, you do this. We're at the command line. Okay, so StdIn, StdOut, StdError. Big whoop. Okay, we're not into that. Those are for scientific, academic, terminal programs. Our goal is to be something fun to hack. Like, for example, a typical thing you did with the Commodore was fonts. They did character graphics. This is the font. You can play with the binary numbers. I made a font editor. You can play with that. Some of you kids have never seen a font editor. So you pick a character. Let's not do one that gets important. How about Z? Anyway, so so when we're done, I think I hit escape and it stored it. Anyway, let's go to my home directory. Okay, so it stored it. So what can we do with this? Let's turn it into a program. U8 star. Oops. I hit. I got God. Okay. This is supposed to be a U64 F256 equals. So this is an array of named F. Okay. So let's include that. And now let's say text.font. Let's put a Z on the screen first. Okay, there's a Z. I don't know if you can see it. We're going to say text. Okay, just to show you how I'm finding this in the text layer. Okay, it's not here. In the my birds are in the graphics routines. There, I want to look for a global variable. GR globals. Okay, so GR, and then it's font is what it's called. This is a global variable class, and I don't see font. I think it's called text, to be quite honest. I think I was right before. Anyway, you should get familiar. You don't use the man page, you use F1, and then it goes to an index, and it's a really nice index. And there's help on StdIn and StdOut. Anyway, we don't have those technically. Oh, I know what it is. I'm in the wrong spot. It's a char. There's text is a global variable, and this is the type font. Okay. So we included, let's do a who. This tells us the symbols that are defined, and these are like environment variables. Okay. who minus R. Okay, so F. So we say text font. Let's put a Z on the screen. That's the character we changed. Now we say text font equals F. Okay, now did our Z get modified? We have to zoom in. There's any time at any place you can hit Control Alt Z, and we zoom in, and look at that. There's a different character. Control Alt Shift C. So what have we accomplished here? So we have here a file that we can change the symbols. We could use the editor, or I'm gonna corrupt the 0. Let's do an overwrite. Okay, so there's going to be a bunch of. So I'm going to include that again, and then I'm going to say text dot font equals F, and now all the zeros are corrupted. So how do we fix this? Reboot. Bam, we're back. Okay. So this is the things. This is what you did with the Commodore 64. So is there a standard in, standard out? Well, sort of. As a matter of fact, there's some very nice mainframe let's say you have I equals get. Let's do this F1 standard in, and we have get I64, get F64, get date, get char. Okay, so if we want in equals get I64. Now, I do believe this is a very fancy routine. Okay, so message default min max. Okay, so we say EnterIn message default 0 min max. Okay, we don't even want those. Now we say for let's say for I equals 1, I lesser or equal to n, I plus plus %d I. Okay, so watch what happens. We hit F5 to run it. So this is standard in, enter in. Now this is a fancy like ultra deluxe mainframe 1 plus 2 times 6. So when you ask for an integer, it allows the user to enter a Holy See expression. So these are so that's very nice, very easy, very nice. Let's do a black rectangle. That's the classic hardest problem. So we want to look F1 graphics routines. I do believe the triangle is technically kind of ghetto. I don't think it has clipping. Returns count of pixels changed. If it has a 0, that's kind of like version 0. I don't know what you want to call it. 0 has no clipping and it's raw. 3 is 3-dimensional, and it has. There's kind of 3 categories of graphics routines. if there's if it has a 0, that means there's no guard rail, and if you go off the map, you're gonna possibly corrupt something. If it has no number, then it's probably a 2-dimensional, no pen width. And then there's the Ultra Deluxe, which is 3 dimensions, and it has a pen width and a transform. So basically, those are your 3 choices. So we want to, what I recommend is you use the autocomplete to jump to the source code. That's, did I say there's not a man page? Anyway, and I like to just copy onto the clipboard and then copy it and then use it as a, sometimes you can examine it when you're working on something. Anyway, so we want, so to use this triangle, to draw a black triangle, we have to define P1, P2, and P3. Let's set P1x equals 100, P1.y equals 100, P1.z equals 0, P2.x equals 200, P2.y equals 100, P2.z equals 0, P3.x equals, let's say 150, P3.y equals, let's say 200, missing semicolon. Oh, okay, we can, P3.z equals 0. And now we look at the GR fill triangle. The color is set to black at the moment. We want the default, we want the persistent layer, which is P4. Okay, so that's how easy it is to put a black rectangle. You want to know, you're going to worry about standard in, standard out. This is a souped up Commodore 64. You say, why would you want a Commodore 64? Now you know. Anyway, so we say DC fill. It's actually so there's all kinds of deluxe. I have the JustInTime compiler, so easy to use that I use it everywhere. Every little thing is the JustInTime compiler. As a matter of fact, if we want to make this red, and let's make the first letter E red. So red foreground, that sets it back to the default foreground. We set it to red and then we set it to the default. So when we run this, we get a red E, and so we say 1, 2, and we got 3. Okay. Now this will blow your mind. So red is a color. Okay. Now the escape document, let's do purple is 13. Okay, let's do foreground, comma 6 plus 7. So the document commands can have expressions. I lost you, didn't I? Oh well, just take my word for it. They can have expressions. What's a better example? Oh, this. Anyway, there's a document. The documents can have sprites. For example, let's make a sprite. Control R, make sprite, and escape. We do want the tag, and let's do Polypoint. Let's do width 5, dither color. The dither color works. That's not the dither color I was expecting. Let's delete that. And dither color, I thought it, let's do that, purple. Exit. Okay, so what can we do? Standard in and standard out. Okay. No, we don't really have standard in, standard out. Sorry. As a matter of fact, these are not serialized. What does that mean? That means when it hits this command, it says, well, let's run it first. 5. Okay, so we printed 5 sprites. I'm gonna separate them out by coming in here and okay, so there's all these sprites. Anyway, so these are I could serialize them, but that wasn't an option. Now I have the ability to convert them to text. So the Polyline thing is a series of directional movements by one. Anyway, Polypoint. To make a long story short, these are stored as a raw binary. I guess you could call it byte code. It's vector. We can convert it to bitmap. Convert to bitmap. Transparent background. Use these extents. Okay, now it has been converted to a bitmap. So now we have a file. It ends in .z, so it's compressed. If we say dump test, I do believe it will search for the .z. So you can see a bitmap here in this text file. That's because our files are pretty much ASCII, but the files are ASCII followed by binary graphics. I explained to people it's a little bit like a PDF. Just imagine your compiler, your C compiler, worked on PDF. Anyway, let me go over one of the neat features that's, I want to convert you so that you appreciate what we gain by losing standard in and standard out. So we go to okay, this is if you're doing a form, there's a metadata for it's basically a nasty format you have to learn. And once you do that, then you can enter forms. But the nice thing is you don't have a separate resource file. That was my goal. And menu Sprite. Okay, look at this program. We have a Sprite. We have a while loop, so I think we're going to stay doing this. We print our Sprite, and this is I do believe, this Sprite has a payload of we make the Sprite so you can click on it, and the left expression is 50. Remember I said we can have, it invokes a compiler really quickly, on and off, so each of these little things is compiled. Now the crazy thing is you can put expressions like I64X, and then you can put X into these expressions, X plus 50. It's crazy stuff like that. That's because the task has a symbol table, and once it stores that symbol, then the compiler, all those environment variables are in scope. So I should explain how you normally make use of this. I'll go ahead and getting a little bit sidetracked. We're going to go to the Sprite Editing code, and I made some defines, and then I made a menu, and I put those defines as the left expression when you click it. That's the left expression. So that's what I was trying to explain. You can make the line between resource and program and compile time and runtime. It's I'm the only one that understands. Anyway, so let's run this. So that little program made a menu with a sprite, so it has an icon. We call those icons. If it's a sprite that you can click on, it's an icon. And what did we do? We got the value in hertz, and if it was greater than 0, we set the sound. Sound is that easy to make. You saw how easy it was to do a circle. You want to know how easy it is to do a sound? It's a frequency. VMware finally gave us sound again. They took it away. What they gave us is kind of laughably distorted, like the original PC speaker. QEMU has no distortion and it sounds bad. VMware, for some reason, they went crazy, and it sounds good when you do a sounds good for sound effects, but it's too much distortion for everything else. Anyway, so let's do menu buttons. Okay, so basically our resource file is there's not a separate resource file. We don't have windows, we have text widgets. So if we hit F5, so we have a menu. We can turn the sound on, sound off, set frequency 200, sound on. Okay, so it's that easy to make a menu. My goal was to have minimum changing files. I don't like little files that you have to jump between. So I made the resources right in the code. And I like it. I don't like to have a lot of options, so I made it beautifully simple, but it's anyway, so that's what I wanted to show.